Heading: File allocation methods. First point. File allocation methods determine how disk blocks are allocated to files on secondary storage. Second point. The main file allocation methods are contiguous allocation, linked allocation, and indexed allocation. Side heading: Contiguous allocation. First point. In contiguous allocation, all blocks of a file are stored in consecutive disk locations. Second point. The operating system allocates a continuous set of blocks to each file at the time of file creation. Third point. The directory stores the starting block address and the length of the file. Fourth point. Since all blocks are adjacent, file access becomes simple and efficient. Fifth point. Both sequential access and direct access can be performed easily. Sixth point. Reading a file requires minimal disk head movement, resulting in faster performance. Seventh point. This method is commonly used when file sizes are known in advance. Side heading: Advantages. First point. Simple and easy to implement. Second point. Supports both sequential and direct access. Third point. Provides high-speed file access. Fourth point. Requires fewer disk seeks during file operations. Side heading: Disadvantages. First point. Causes external fragmentation. Second point. Finding large contiguous free space becomes difficult over time. Third point. File size must often be specified before allocation. Fourth point. Expanding a file is difficult if adjacent free space is unavailable. Fifth point. Storage space may be wasted due to over-allocation. Side heading: Linked allocation. First point. In linked allocation, file blocks can be stored anywhere on the disk. Second point. Each file block contains a pointer to the next file block. Third point. The blocks are connected in the form of a linked list. Fourth point. The directory maintains the address of the first and last block of the file. Fifth point. The operating system follows the chain of pointers to access all blocks of the file. Sixth point. Files can grow dynamically by adding new blocks anywhere on the disk. Seventh point. This method eliminates the need for contiguous free space. Side heading: Advantages. First point. No external fragmentation occurs. Second point. Files can expand easily without relocation. Third point. Better utilization of available disk space. Fourth point. Allocation and deallocation of blocks are simple. Side heading: Disadvantages. First point. Direct access is not efficient because blocks must be traversed sequentially. Second point. Additional memory space is required to store pointers. Third point. Access speed is slower than contiguous allocation. Fourth point. Pointer corruption can lead to loss of file data. Fifth point. More disk accesses may be required to read a file completely. Side heading: Indexed allocation. First point. In indexed allocation, each file has an index block that contains addresses of all file blocks. Second point. The directory entry points to the index block instead of individual data blocks. Third point. The operating system uses the index block to locate any required file block directly. Fourth point. This method supports both direct and sequential access efficiently. Side heading: Linked scheme. First point. In the linked scheme, multiple index blocks are linked together when a single index block cannot hold all block addresses. Second point. Each index block contains pointers to data blocks and a pointer to the next index block. Third point. This method supports very large files. Side heading: Advantages. First point. Supports files larger than the capacity of a single index block. Second point. Allows flexible file growth. Side heading: Disadvantages. First point. Additional access time is needed to traverse linked index blocks. Second point. Management becomes more complex. Side heading: Multi-level index. First point. In multi-level indexing, index blocks are organized into multiple levels. Second point. The first level index points to second level index blocks, which then point to data blocks. Third point. This method efficiently supports very large files. Side heading: Advantages. First point. Can manage extremely large files. Second point. Provides efficient organization of block addresses. Side heading: Disadvantages. First point, additional levels increase access overhead. Second point, more memory is required for maintaining multiple index levels. Side heading, combined scheme. First point, the combined scheme uses direct, single, indirect, double indirect, and triple indirect pointers together. Second point, small files use direct pointers while large files use indirect pointers. Third point, this approach provides efficient storage for both small and large files. Side heading, advantages. First point, efficiently handles files of different sizes. Second point, provides good performance and flexibility. Third point, reduces wastage of index space. Side heading, disadvantages. First point, more complex to implement and manage. Second point, access time may increase for files using multiple levels of indirection.